This video is a short introduction to the structure of this side of the standard accordion. My name is Bill, and I'm the creator of Accordion Flashcards, a learning tool for the accordion. This structure is called the Stradella bass system, and it's an incredible layout. Approximately in the middle of your keyboard is a button with a mark on it, and this is called your C fundamental bass. Every button in this vertical row is a single note called a fundamental bass. Each fundamental bass is a fifth in the scale above the one below it. In other words, the fifth note in the C scale is G, and that's the button above C. The fifth note in the G scale is D, and that's the button above G. The fifth note in the D scale is A, and that's the one above G, etc. The fifth note in the C scale is G, and that's the button above C. The fifth note in the G scale is D, and that's the button above G. If you don't know your scales, you can always count 7 half steps up to find the next note. Starting on C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is G. That's the button above C. 7 half steps above G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is D. That's the button above G. In written music, the notes in this row, the fundamental basses, are shown in the bass clef with the stems going up. So this would be fundamental bass C. And as you can see on this flashcard, it's located in that second vertical column. The bass clef is read just like the treble clef, only the notes are either one line or one space lower than the treble. C, A, C, and E on the treble clef. Now find them on the bass clef. See how they're just a full space lower? Some people remember "good boys do fine always" for the lines on the bass clef, and ace G for the spaces on the bass clef. So this vertical column here are all the fundamental basses. The third vertical are all the major chords of the corresponding basses. So for example, here was our C fundamental bass, and in a diagonal right underneath it is the C major chord. Major chords are the first, third, and fifth notes in the scale played simultaneously. In written form, all chords have the stem going down, and in the case of the major chord, the letter capital M is above the note. So this would be the C major chord. So the first row was our fundamental bass, the second our major chord, and the next is the minor chord. The minor chord is also the first, third, and fifth, but the third is flatted or lowered a half step. So it sounds like this. In written form, the chords have their stems going down, and in the case of the minor chord, there's a lowercase m or sometimes an mi above the note. And that's of course the C minor chord. The first row was our fundamental bass, then our major chord, then our minor chord, and now the seventh chord. The seventh chord has the first and third notes in the scale, as well as the seventh note flatted. So it would sound a little like this for the seventh. In written form, these have a 7 above the root note, and the stem is down. The last vertical column is the diminished chords, the ones farthest away from the bellows. And it has the first note with the third flatted and a sixth. In written form, these have a lowercase d, or sometimes a di, above the note, and the stem is down. The vertical row nearest the bellows is called the counterbasses. These are a major third or 2 whole steps above the fundamental bass behind it. It's also the third note in the scale named for the fundamental bass. For example, for the C fundamental bass, the third note in the C scale is E. For the G fundamental bass, the third note is B. In written form, the counterbasses have a small line underneath the note. So that's all the rows. C fundamental bass, C major chord, C minor chord, C seventh, C diminished, and the counterbass to C is E. The number of buttons is 20 rows times 6, or 120 on a standard full-size instrument. You don't really need more than 72 in order to play all the bass notes and corresponding chords, but using 72 basses, however, is actually more demanding since you'd have to do unnecessarily long jumps in certain keys or when doing bass runs. So the full-sized 120 bass accordion is actually easier to play because some of the tones are repeated to make playing easier. B flat near the middle is actually the same as A sharp at the top, for example. Most students begin by learning the C, F, and G columns. Then they add the B flat and the D, always expanding out from the middle C. Some students find flashcards helpful as a learning tool, and I created these accordion flashcards to help me learn to quickly read and play the notes and chords. They can be done alone or with a friend. My daughter loves to help me practice my cards, and then we practice her math facts with flashcards too.
Got it.
The usual practice is to look at the card, say the name of the bass, in this case fundamental bass C, play it, and flip it over to see if you're right. The card sets also include some general knowledge questions, which can be practiced without an accordion. More information is available at accordionflashcards.com. I hope this has been a useful introduction to the accordion basses.